D'Lo Brown powerbombed Droz, he never would have imagined the tragedy that would follow. Being the reason another wrestler becomes quadriplegic isn't something you can recover from. Droz wasn't the only wrestler who faced a near-death experience in the ring. Big E, the British Bulldog, and even Stone Cold Steve Austin also suffered career-ending injuries in their prime. To bring us A-plus entertainment, wrestlers go above and beyond. But the sad truth is that these athletes often put their bodies and even their lives on the line. Let's explore 20 of the most terrifying in-ring injuries ever. Droz. In the world of professional wrestling, where the line between entertainment and reality blurs, the risks are real, and sometimes the consequences are devastating. Such was the case for Darren Drozdov, known to fans as Droz. It was the evening of October 5th, 1999. Droz, a former NFL player turned wrestler, was set to perform in a match that would change his life forever. The match was underway, and the crowd was electric, feeding off the energy of the Titans clashing in the ring. Droz faced off against his opponent, D'Lo Brown, a seasoned wrestler known for his agility and strength. As the two athletes executed a series of maneuvers, the audience watched, unaware that they were about to witness a catastrophic turn of events. In a split second, a routine wrestling move went horribly wrong. Droz was set up for a powerbomb, a move he had taken countless times before. But this time, as Brown hoisted Droz into the air, something was off. Droz's body wasn't positioned correctly, and as he was slammed down onto the mat, the unthinkable happened. There was an audible crack, a sound that echoed through the arena. Droz had broken his neck. The injury was severe, leaving him quadriplegic and confined to a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Despite the life-altering injury, Droz's spirit remained unbroken. He became an advocate for spinal cord injury awareness and an inspiration to many. Big E. Big E's journey in the WWE was marked by his infectious energy and impressive displays of power. A former powerlifter, Big E's transition to professional wrestling seemed like destiny. He quickly became a fan favorite, known for his explosive moves and a smile that could light up an entire arena. However, everything changed on the fateful night of March 11th, 22. During a televised match, Big E was competing with all the enthusiasm fans had come to expect when everything changed. As Big E took a routine move, a suplex, his opponent's weight came crashing down on him at an awkward angle. The impact was immediate and horrifying. Big E's neck snapped back, and he crumpled to the floor. The audience fell silent, the jovial atmosphere replaced by concern and fear. Medical staff were at his side in an instant. Big E had suffered a broken neck. He subsequently posted online that he suffered a neck injury but is healing well. The injury was severe enough to sideline the champion indefinitely. The road to recovery for Big E has been long and uncertain. The once invincible athlete faced a new opponent, one that couldn't be overcome with physical strength alone. His absence from the ring has been felt deeply, both by fans and fellow wrestlers. Steve Austin. Stone Cold. Steve Austin is known as the WWE Rebel, an icon, and a trailblazer who has also suffered a near-death experience in the ring. It was on August 3rd, 1997 at the SummerSlam event, one of the biggest stages in the wrestling world. Austin was at the peak of his career, embroiled in a heated rivalry with Owen Hart, a technical wizard and a member of the storied Hart wrestling family. Anticipation was high as the two titans clashed for the Intercontinental Championship, a title that symbolized wrestling excellence. As the match progressed, the intensity grew. Both competitors were giving it their all, each determined to walk away with the gold. Then all of a sudden, Hart executed a pile driver on Austin. This move, designed to drive an opponent's head into the mat while being held upside down, requires precise execution and mutual trust between wrestlers. Tragically, the move went awry. Austin suffered a broken neck, a diagnosis that would send shivers down the spine of any athlete. Miraculously, Austin managed to finish the match in that state, but the fallout from that pile driver was far-reaching. Austin was never the same again. He spent the next few years battling through pain, his neck a constant source of agony and limitation. Despite his best efforts to continue, the injury took its toll, and Austin was forced to step away from in-ring competition in 2003, leaving behind a legacy that would inspire generations to come. Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, known as the Heartbreak Kid, was known for his showmanship, athleticism, and resilience. Michaels was not just a wrestler. He was an artist who painted masterpieces in the ring, but even the greatest artists can be struck down in their prime. And for Michaels, that moment came at the Royal Rumble in January of 1998. Michael was defending his title against the legendary Undertaker in a casket match. The stakes were high, and so was the tension. During the match, Michaels executed a high-risk maneuver, launching himself from the top rope and over the casket in an attempt attempt to strike The Undertaker. But as he descended, his trajectory went awry. Michaels' lower back struck the edge of the casket. The pain was immediate and intense, but Michaels, ever the professional, continued the match to its conclusion. Unfortunately, the injury forced Michaels into a 4-year break from the ring, a period marked by personal struggles and a quest for recovery. The Heartbreak Kid had to contend that his in-ring career, the essence of his identity, might be over. But Michaels was not one to surrender without a fight. In 2002, Michaels made a miraculous return to the WWE, defying medical expectations and once again captivating audiences with his in-ring style. Bret Hart. Bret the Hitman Hart, a name that evokes respect and admiration in the wrestling world, is often hailed as one of the greatest technical wrestlers to ever lace up a pair of boots. His precision in the ring, his storytelling ability, and his dedication to his craft earned him a legion of fans and a storied career filled with championships and accolades. All this almost came to an end one fateful night. It was December 19, 1999, at the WCW Starrcade event, where Hart was set to defend his World Heavyweight Championship against the powerhouse known as Goldberg. The match was highly anticipated, pitting Hart's technical prowess against Goldberg's raw strength and intensity. As the match unfolded, both competitors brought their best to the ring. Then, in a split second, the course of Hart's career and life changed forever. Goldberg, known for his explosive and sometimes reckless style, delivered a miscalculated kick to Hart's head. The impact of the blow was immediate and devastating. In the days that followed, Hart began to experience the telltale signs of a serious concussion. Dizziness, headaches, and disorientation plagued him, signaling that this was no ordinary injury. The concussion was severe, enough to put Hart's in-ring career in jeopardy. The fallout from the concussion was far-reaching. Hart's ability to perform at the elite level he was accustomed to was compromised. After months of battling symptoms and facing the harsh reality of his situation, Hart announced his retirement from professional wrestling. Mick Foley. Mick Foley, commonly known as Mankind, has always been known for his hardcore wrestling style and willingness to put his body on the line. His legacy is not just defined by the titles he's won, but by the scars he's earned and the stories behind them. One of the most shocking and gruesome tales from Foley's career occurred on a night in Munich, Germany in 1994. The match was already intense, with Foley, wrestling as Cactus Jack, engaging in a fierce battle that had the crowd on the edge of their seats. But in the match, his ear severed and his body in shock, but losing part of his ear was just one entry in Foley's catalog of injuries. Over the years, he has sustained numerous concussions and lost multiple teeth, and his body bears the scars of countless battles. Despite the pain and the permanent reminders left on his flesh, Foley's passion for wrestling never waned. He became renowned for his death-defying stunts, like being thrown off the Hell in a Cell structure, which left fans in awe and his peers in disbelief. Taz, Peter Sinerkia, better known by his ring name Taz, was known for his unmistakable orange and black singlet and a demeanor that exuded confidence. Taz carved out a reputation as a no-nonsense competitor who could dominate opponents with his judo background and suplex-heavy arsenal. On September 17, 1995, Taz was competing in a high-profile tag team match, teaming with the legendary Eddie Guerrero against the formidable duo of Dean Malenko and Too Cold Scorpio. The match was a showcase of technical prowess and athleticism, with each competitor bringing their unique style to the ring. As the match progressed, the crowd was enjoying the show. Then, in a harrowing instant, the atmosphere shifted from excitement to concern. Dean Malenko and Too Cold Scorpio power-slapped Taz, but he landed in an awkward position. The impact was severe, and it was immediately apparent that something had gone terribly wrong. Taz had broken his neck. The wrestling community held its breath as Taz faced an uncertain future. The man who had built a career on being one of the toughest competitors in the business was now in the fight of his life. His recovery was grueling, filled with pain and the frustration of being sidelined. Against all expectations, Taz returned to the ring fully healed. Sting. With his iconic face paint and a presence that captivated audiences, Sting became a symbol of wrestling excellence across multiple generations. His career spanned decades, filled with memorable matches and championship reigns, solidifying his status as an industry icon. But he soon faced a challenge that would threaten his life. It was September 20th, 2015, at the Night of Champions event. Sting was challenging Seth Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. The match was a clash of eras. As the battle waged on, the unthinkable happened. happened. Rollins executed a turnbuckle powerbomb, a move where the opponent is slammed back first. In Sting's case, he was slammed into a table outside the ring. Sting took the impact, but at a great cost. The veteran wrestler was visibly shaken, struggling to maintain his balance and coordination. Medical personnel attended to Sting in the ring. The injury was to his neck, and the implications were dire. The match concluded, but the real battle for Sting was just beginning. The diagnosis was cervical spinal stenosis, a condition that could lead to severe consequences. The injury forced Sting to confront the reality that his in-ring career was in jeopardy. British Bulldog. The British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, was a powerhouse of British wrestling, a national hero who brought pride to the United Kingdom with his strength, agility, and bulldog tenacity. His physique was imposing, his ring skills undeniable, and his presence was that of a true wrestling superstar. Unfortunately, he faced a challenge that brought his illustrious career to a sudden and tragic halt. The incident occurred during a match with Alex Wright in the late 1990s, at a time when the British Bulldog was a prominent figure in the wrestling world. The ring, his battlefield, was where he showcased his prowess and entertained millions. But Smith and Alex didn't know a trapdoor had been installed in the ring for an upcoming stunt involving another wrestler. As they fought, disaster struck. Alex slammed Smith onto the mat, directly over the concealed trapdoor. The impact was more than his body could absorb. The unforgiving metal beneath the canvas didn't give way, and Smith's back bore the full brunt of the collision. The British Bulldog suffered a spinal injury that compromised his ability to perform at the elite level he was known for. The road to recovery was long and fraught with difficulty. Multiple surgeries and rehabilitation sessions followed, but the damage to his back was too extensive. The injury ultimately led to the end of the British Bulldog's in-ring career. Joey Mercury. Joey Mercury carved out a niche for himself in the wrestling world with his technical skill and willingness to engage in the high-risk spectacle of ladder matches. These matches, where the objective is to climb a ladder to retrieve an item suspended above the ring, are known for their potential for danger. For Mercury, one such match in 2006 would result in a harrowing ordeal that would leave him physically scarred forever. It happens during Armageddon, a pay-per-view that promised chaos and delivered it in spades. Mercury, alongside his tag team partner Johnny Nitro, faced off against the Hardy Boys, a team renowned for their own death-defying antics in ladder matches. The crowd cheered as ladders were set up and bodies flew through the air. Then the match turned from entertaining to terrifying in one catastrophic moment. A ladder, positioned in the center of the ring, was thrust over. Mercury took the full force of the thrusting ladder directly to his face. The impact was sickening. The ladder smashed into Mercury's nose, shattering it instantly. Blood poured from his face as he collapsed to the mat, the severity of the injury immediately apparent to all in attendance. Medical staff rushed to his side. Mercury had shattered his nose and broken 4 bones in his face. Surgeries and rehabilitation followed, along with the daunting task of mentally preparing to step back into the ring. But Mercury's determination saw him return to wrestling. Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette is a man known more for his razor-sharp wit and managerial prowess than his in-ring acrobatics. Yet, it was during the infamous scaffold match at the Starrcade event in 1986 that Cornette would find himself in a situation that could have ended in disaster. The scaffold match, a rare and dangerous spectacle, was designed to push wrestlers to their limits. 2 teams battled it out on a narrow platform suspended high above the ring, the objective being to send your opponents crashing down to the canvas. Managing the Midnight Express team, Cornette found himself in an unenviable position atop the scaffold. The match had reached its climax, and it was time for the grand finale. It nearly cost Cornette his career, if not his life. Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar has always been known for his unparalleled strength and agility. His very name conjures images of a dominant, almost invincible athlete. But even the Beast isn't immune to injury. At WrestleMania 19, the grandest stage of them all, Brock Lesnar would face not just his opponent, but a beast in his own right, Kurt Angle. The match was intense, a physical chess game between 2 of the industry's best. As the battle raged on, Lesnar attempted a feat that few men of his size would dare, a shooting star press, a backflip from the top rope intended to land on his opponent. The crowd held their breath as Lesnar ascended the turnbuckle, his massive frame perched on the top rope. With a powerful leap, he launched himself into the air, flipping backward in a breathtaking display of athleticism. But in a heart-stopping moment, the execution faltered. Lesnar's rotation was off, and instead of landing on Angle, he crashed headfirst into the mat. The impact was horrifying. Lesnar lay motionless. The stadium plunged into a stunned silence. Lesnar had suffered a substantial concussion and was inches away from breaking his neck, an injury that that could have been fatal or, at the very least, paralyzing. In the aftermath, the concussion Lesnar suffered was significant. It took time, rest, and medical care for him to recover from the trauma of that night. Triple H. Triple H is one of the most decorated wrestlers in history. Over the course of his career, he has battled through adversity both in and out of the ring. But it was during a tag team match on Monday Night Raw, the weekly spectacle where storylines unfold and legends are made. Triple H, also known as The Game, was at the height of his career. However, in one split second, the trajectory of his career was nearly altered forever. During a tag team match with Stone Cold in 2001, Triple H tore his quadriceps muscle clean off the bone, an injury that could potentially end the career of any athlete. The severity of the tear was such that it required surgery and extensive rehabilitation, a grueling process that would test the resolve of the Game. But the quad tear was not the only injury that haunted Triple H's career. He suffered other injuries, including issues with his throat, groin, bicep, and neck, each one a potential career ender. Each time he faced an uphill battle to return to the ring, pushing through pain and defying the odds. The neck issues in particular were a constant source of concern. Triple H's neck problems were an ever-present danger, and one wrong move could be catastrophic. John Cena. John Cena is a superstar in the wrestling ring and in Hollywood. Renowned for his charisma and his rallying cry of hustle, loyalty, respect, Cena has become an icon to fans worldwide. But even icons are not invulnerable, and in 2007, Cena's resilience was put to the ultimate test. Cena tore his pectoral muscle off the bone during a match with Mr. Kennedy. It was an injury that typically sidelines athletes for at least half a year. The severity of the tear was not just a threat to his career, it was a brutal blow that could have had long-lasting implications on his physical capabilities. Yet, in an astounding display of fortitude, Cena refused to let the match end. He powered through the pain, delivering an attitude adjustment to secure the victory. Defying medical expectations, Cena made a miraculous return to the ring after just 4 months, a recovery that left both fans and fellow wrestlers in awe. His comeback was not just a triumph of the body, but of the spirit. Cena's ability to bounce back from such a devastating injury and regain his place at the pinnacle of professional wrestling. He went on to have a successful wrestling career for years, until he eventually shifted his career to Hollywood. Rey Fenix. Rey Fenix was known for his high-flying maneuvers and pushing the limits of aerial acrobatics. His mask, a symbol of the lucha libre tradition, conceals a face of determination and a spirit that knows no bounds. But in 2022, Fenix's career and well-being were put in jeopardy in a split second that shocked the wrestling world. It was during a tag team match that the unexpected occurred. Fenix, always one to take risks to thrill the fans, found himself on the receiving end of a chokeslam, a move that involves being lifted by the throat and slammed to the mat. The maneuver was intended to send him crashing through a table. However, as Fenix was hurled through the air, his body contorted in a way that spelled disaster. As he landed, his arm struck the table at an unnatural angle. The force of the impact caused his elbow to dislocate. The crowd fell silent, the excitement turning to concern as Fenix writhed in agony. Medical staff rushed to his side, and it was immediately clear that this was not part of the show. This was a serious injury that could have far-reaching consequences. The dislocated elbow was a gruesome sight, and the potential for long-term damage was high. Despite the severity of the injury, Fenix's spirit remained unbroken. His journey to recovery was met with an outpouring of support from fans and fellow wrestlers alike. Hardcore Holly. Hardcore Holly has long been known for his no-nonsense approach and his willingness to engage in some of the most punishing matches in wrestling history. His reputation as one of the toughest competitors was solidified during an Extreme Rules match in 2006. Extreme Rules matches are known for chaos and carnage, where the normal conventions of wrestling are thrown out the window in favor of a no-holds-barred contest. It was in this environment that Hardcore Holly found himself battling it out, surrounded by weapons. Amidst the adrenaline and the mayhem, an unforeseen and gruesome incident occurred. As Holly was maneuvering his opponent, he was sent crashing into a table covered in barbed wire, a prop designed to inflict pain and draw blood. However, the outcome was far more severe than anyone had anticipated. As Holly's body collided with the barbed wire, it sliced through his flesh, creating a deep and bloody gash across his shoulder blade. The laceration was so severe that it exposed muscle. The match came to a halt as medical personnel attended to Holly. The wound required 24 stitches to close. The scar that remained would serve as a permanent reminder of the night when an Extreme Rules match turned nearly fatal. Vic Grimes. Vic Grimes is known for his daredevil antics and his willingness to put his body on the line. However, in the year 2000, during a match that has since become infamous, Grimes would pay a steep price for his high-risk style, enduring a fall that nearly cost him his life. The match was against New Jack, another wrestler notorious for his extreme approach to the sport. The two were no strangers to each other, having previously engaged in bouts that pushed the envelope of violence. But on this occasion, the stakes were higher than ever. As the action reached its climax, Grimes was thrown from the balcony, a fall intended to be broken by tables stacked below. But the trajectory was miscalculated, and Grimes plummeted to the ground, missing the tables and hitting the concrete floor with a sickening thud. The impact was devastating. A broken leg, a fractured skull, nerve damage, and brain damage were the immediate diagnoses. Grimes' injuries were severe and life-altering. The broken leg and fractured skull required extensive medical intervention, while the nerve and brain damage had long-term implications that would challenge Grimes' resolve and will to continue in the profession he had chosen. The recovery process was long and fraught with uncertainty, each step forward a victory against the shadow of that fateful fall. Randy Orton. Randy Orton, known as the Viper, is a villain in WWE because of his calculated demeanor and his sudden, devastating RKO. A third-generation wrestler, Orton's pedigree and in-ring prowess have made him one of the most respected and feared competitors in the sport. However, even the most venomous of Vipers can be laid low by injury, and in Randy Orton's case, a back injury threatened to derail his career. The rigors of professional wrestling are unforgiving, and over time, they took a toll on Orton's spine. The repeated impacts, the high-flying stunts, and the physical demands of performing night after night accumulated, leading to a critical situation. Orton was faced with the daunting prospect of back fusion surgery, a procedure that involves joining two or more vertebrae to eliminate painful movement. The surgery, already a serious undertaking, revealed complications that were more severe than anyone had anticipated. The damage to Orton's back was extensive, and the recovery process would be long and arduous. It was a blow not only to his physical health, but to his career as well. For a wrestler of Orton's caliber, being out of the ring for an extended period spelled doom. However, Orton was able to recover fully and return to the ring. Sabu. Sabu, the Houdini of hardcore wrestling, has long been celebrated for his extreme style in the ring. His matches were spectacles of chaos and innovation, often leaving fans in awe of his ability to endure and dish out punishment. But in 1994, during a fateful match with Chris Benoit, Chris Benoit launched Sabu into the air, and instead of executing a graceful arc, he landed directly on his head. Everyone was anxious to discover what happened, and it was revealed that Sabu had broken his neck. The fact that Sabu was not immediately paralyzed was a miracle in itself, but the long-term implications of such an injury were dire. His recovery was nothing short of miraculous, defying the odds and the expectations of medical professionals. Sabu eventually returned to the ring and enjoyed his career for years. Edge. Adam Joseph Copeland, better known as Edge, is best known for his time in WWE, where he performed for over 15 years and won numerous championships, including the World Heavyweight Championship and the WWE Championship. Edge was known for his charismatic persona, exceptional wrestling ability, and signature moves like the Spear and Edgecution. He was also a member of the iconic tag team Edge and Christian. Unfortunately, challenges in his career came due to an injury. The first major sign of trouble came in 2002 when Edge suffered a severe neck injury that required surgery. The surgery was a success, but his neck was never the same. Despite the injury, however, Edge's star continued to rise, and he became one of the most decorated wrestlers in the industry. But the physical toll of wrestling, the constant impacts, and the strain of performing at an elite level began to manifest in more serious ways. By 2011, Edge was diagnosed with cervical spinal stenosis, a condition that narrows the spinal canal and can lead to extreme pain, numbness, and even paralysis. Edge was forced to make the heart-wrenching decision to retire from professional wrestling, a decision that was met with an outpouring of support from fans and fellow wrestlers alike. It seemed that the rated R superstar's illustrious career had come to a premature end. After years of rehabilitation, treatment, and personal growth, he returned to the ring in 2020. Thanks for watching. Check out the next video for more amazing content.